Good afternoon, everybody. This is Josh Mitchell at eThink Education. Very pleased to have so many people joining us here today for this webinar entitled What's New in Moodle 3.2. We're going to try to get right into the meat of our presentation here today, spend just a little bit of time with some introductions and things of that nature. But I do want to leave plenty of time to really run through the main content here today. So we're going to jump right in, even though we have many people still joining us. Before I get to the agenda, I do just want to say, actually, I guess I'll pull up the agenda to say this. You see that the very final agenda item that we have here is questions. We do plan to leave at least about 10 minutes at the end for questions from our audience, perhaps 15, somewhere in that range. So just to show you or to tell you where to put those, there is a questions feature here in GoToWebinar. You can, throughout the session here, enter any questions that you may have. We will be obviously reading those as we go. We probably will not have an opportunity to answer them in writing here as we're going along, but we will ask as many as we can verbally at the end, and anything that we don't get to, we will certainly follow up afterward to make sure we're addressing questions that come in. So just to get right into it here today, I'm Josh Mitchell. I'm the Director of Sales here at eThink Education. You see that's me on the right. I'm going to, in a moment, introduce the rest of our panelists here today, or not panelists, I suppose, but our presenters. 6 of the members of our services team here at eThink Education are going to present various pieces of this What's New in 3.2 presentation here today. So we're very excited to have all of them on the line. I'm really just going to moderate, kind of kick things off here, and then moderate questions as we get to the end. So basically what we're going to do is start with those intros, give just a brief overview of Moodle and what we do at eThink Education, just to frame this for people who are not as familiar, and then get right into the meat of our topic here today and take some questions at the end. So here on the screen are the 6 members of our team who are going to run through different pieces here. I won't read their names individually, but this is a sampling of here at eThink Education, what we really hang our hat on is great service and the quality of our people. Many of the people on the line here today are our current clients. Many others are engaged with us as prospective clients, and this is what we tell people all the time, is that we have the best team of Moodle experts, or sort of lovingly we refer to them as Moodle nerds in the industry, and you're going to hear from 6 of them here today, and so we're pretty excited about that, to give a little window to the quality of people that we have. So here's the team. You're going to hear from them as we go here, and you'll be able to put faces with voices and names as we go along. So just to begin, as I said, I just want to kind of frame this a little bit to give some context before we get into Moodle 3.2. For folks who may not be as familiar with Moodle, I know just looking through the list today, there are many who are using other learning management systems, and maybe at least know a little bit about Moodle, but not a ton. So just to frame this a little bit, Moodle is an open source learning management system. It's the most widely used LMS in the world, and at eThink Education, this is all we do is host and manage Moodle. It's a platform that has grown to be so widely adopted. It's as I said, the most widely used in the world because of some very key strengths that it has. The open source nature of it leads to a proposition that's very sustainable for people that adopt it. There's been a lot of turmoil in the LMS industry, particularly in higher education here in the U.S., where many of you work, where there have been many mergers and acquisitions over the years, and Moodle has remained sort of a mainstay, a constant in that market. It really allows schools or organizations that use it to be able to rely on the platform over the long term, while finding a partner who can host and manage it for them that's going to do a great job and have the flexibility to be able to move from one vendor to another if that vendor doesn't do the job they expect. That's been a key part of our growth here at eThink, is having many customers move to us, having been somewhat disaffected with their prior vendor, and that sort of flexibility in how you host it while still maintaining continuity with the platform is a really key strength of it. Some of the other things we're going to talk about, it's a community-driven platform, so there are core releases. Version 3.2 is the latest core release. But there is often new functionality that's introduced by the community at large, sort of extending upon what the organization called Moodle Headquarters in Australia develops and releases with its core releases. And that is the way that Moodle stays very current. It's also the way in which this sort of best-of-breed capability comes into play here, where it's a modular platform, one where it's intended to extend core functionality using third-party plugins and modules. And it really facilitates that because of that modularity and allows, again, things that are current, things that are cutting edge to be introduced into the platform either by the community or by third-party companies that develop things to add functionality and extend functionality. So these are some of the things that are great about Moodle. Some of the reasons that many of our customers have either chosen or stayed with Moodle over competing products. So we didn't want to spend a lot of time here, as I said, but just wanted to frame this a little bit at a high level. Then just to touch on who we are. So I've shown you, some photos of our team and already said that we are, a team of Moodle experts here. So just to give you some context in terms of what we do, this is all we do is host and manage Moodle. We've been in this business for going on 10 years. We've been growing very rapidly the last couple of years because of some key things that we are doing really well. They're sort of sprinkled throughout this slide here. We integrate, for instance, very well with student information systems in higher education. We do that in real time, more powerfully than anyone else in this market. For those who may be in a corporate environment or a government or not-for-profit environment, we've also been starting to integrate and automate processes with a variety of other kinds of ERP and HRIS type systems over the last couple of years. So a lot of expertise there. We do sort of this full management approach that we call it. So we've got a very good team of experts who know how to use this product and know how to give guidance to our customers to tell them how to accomplish what they're trying to do. We do that in a sort of full management approach is what we call it. So essentially anything that happens on the back end, our team takes care of. We serve as the experts so that our clients can focus on the front end and dealing with their users and dealing with their content and not having to worry about what happens on the back end of the product. There's some other things that we do to really add value as well. We build custom reports for our clients. We have a lot of capability there. We have some relationships to bring in what are sort of built-in kinds of features into the product. One such example is a product called IntelliBoard for analytics and that sort of reporting, where all of our clients get a free layer of that available to them. So I talked about this sort of best-of-breed approach that Moodle facilitates. We've, as a company, tried to establish some relationships with like-minded companies to be able to bring those right in, make those really easy for our customers to access. So those are some of the other things we do. And at the end of the day, really exceptional service is what we hang our hat on. We've grown very rapidly, as I've mentioned. We, in 10 years of business, have a client retention rate of over 99%. And the reason we can say that is because our team, when somebody has a need, one of our customers has a need, they put in a ticket, our team is on it in short order. We're able to respond and close tickets out in less than an hour on average. And so our clients feel well taken care of, and that's the reason that they've stayed with us at such high numbers over the long haul. So getting into the meat of our content here today, what's new in 3.2, here are the things we're going to cover. A number of new features that we want to go through. I am, in a moment, going to pass it along to Todd Matthews to take the first of these, which is the very exciting new Boost theme, which this is one of the probably the most exciting thing as we've been talking to prospective clients is this new theme, because it takes some great strides in the area of user interface. That's been, quite frankly, something that there have been some objections to over time, where perhaps people feel as though other learning management systems are more cutting edge. Boost has really changed that. In fact, we had a new client sign with us just last week who had looked at Canvas, among other LMSs, and came back to Moodle and said, we're going to use Moodle and we're going to partner with eThink for this because of what we see in 3.2, because of what we see in the user experience with the Boost theme. And so that was really sort of corroboration for what we've been saying, that this theme is drastically different and a huge improvement. And so with that, I am going to turn it over to Todd Matthews, who is going to give us a little preview of the Boost theme. So Todd, take it away.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, Josh. Appreciate that introduction there to Moodle and to the Boost theme a little bit. Thank you again also for everyone being able to jump on today. We know, middle of the spring, middle of the week is always an interesting time in the ed tech world, so thanks for carving out a little bit of time this afternoon. As Josh said, my name is Todd Matthews, Director of Implementations here at eThink Education. Work with clients essentially from the moment they sign on with the eThink team here through the moment that their site is up live, fully running, and having end users in the site. And as you can imagine, during that implementation process, the theme and the lookout and the layout and the feel of the site is a very key aspect that we jump into quite a bit and have a lot of back and forth with our clients on. And so today we're here to show you a little bit about the new Boost theme in Moodle 3.2. A key feature of the design and functionality pieces of this was Moodle really trying to give a little bit of real estate back to the main page here. As you see when we jump in here, as we start scrolling down a little bit, we're already seeing white space here that's just not being utilized. As we get a little bit into the center column, we see that as well. So Moodle's really trying to make this a nice, intuitive, end-user friendly experience that's going to make users want to use the site. And so with that, they've added this nice little hamburger option, we're calling it, with our two buns and the meat in the middle, to actually collapse down these main topics for the Moodle courses. So those of you that are new to Moodle might not be aware of this, but those that have been on Moodle have always seen that just lack of real estate and lack of focus on the main content that Moodle's trying to show off. So with this option, we're still allowing full site functionality, being able to get to anywhere we need. We'll still be allowing those end users to focus on the content that they're actually supposed to be focusing in on. Another big key aspect, in addition to the left and right white space, is, as I said, the top to bottom white space as well. Something that Moodle has been actively working against recently is what they call the scroll of death. And we left one of our blocks on here to give an example of this. As we start slowing down, you'll see that we're already out of course content here. Yet this white space is going to continue in the center while we work through this block. And this is a very unorthodox Moodle block, as we run a lot of testing and setup with that configurable reports. But shows a great example of how that white space is just really set on the page and there's nothing that we can do to utilize it friendly. So what we see here is with this Moodle Boost theme is when we actually get into the course level, we're already getting that course real estate back. Now we're actually taking these blocks that were on the left and the right and kind of taking up that space on the page. And we're seeing that we have these options right at the top of the page to be able to work with some of the course settings that instructors and students are used to being able to access. In addition, of course, we still retain that option to be able to open up our side panel here and view any related course documents or activities that the students really want to delve into. So it offers that great functionality for however the user wants to get in there. In addition, it helps take care of that scroll on the right. Now we're not having those additional blocks down there, and so the only content that users are focused in on is the actual course content that the instructor wants them to see. So honestly, as Josh was saying, this is leaps and bounds ahead of what we've seen from past core Moodle themes. Really offers some great functionality and some great intuitive usage for that end user. And most importantly, what we like to focus in on with this new theme is the ability to actually use this as a mobile-friendly theme. This is built off of the Bootstrap 4 recommendations and standards there, and actually is able to jump into any mobile browser, tablet, touchpad, computer, whatever resolution you're on, and look native directly in that mobile or tablet device. From there, I know we'll talk a little bit further on this call today about the 3.2 Moodle mobile app and the branding that can be done, as Courtney Bedley on our team will run through that further. But wanted to show this for those users that don't necessarily end up running with an app. They still have that functionality to use this theme and have it accessible on any device they utilize the Moodle site through. In addition, we can always see this actual responsiveness take effect by just resizing our browser a little bit here. We'll see that when we drop this down, everything's going to go ahead and resize for us. Even the sound cloud realizes that it has less resolution to work with and brings that in directly to change how it's going to appear on the page. What we also see is that bringing out that block, this is a great addition with the panel here, that we're able to then remove that, view directly again back in that center content while still retaining the full ability. This is also highlighted here on the mobile device itself. You'll see as I'm not logged in here, I don't have the full options, but still allows for you to view everything you need to while still jumping back into the menu settings very easily. So with that, as Josh said, there's about a 50,000 mile overview of the Moodle Boost 3.2 theme. And if any questions do come in, I'm used to having back and forth here on these conversations, so webinar is a little different. So please send those questions in. We'll be able to take a look into those, and if anything does come up that we can help us further on that, do let us know. With that, I will be passing it over to Jeremy Schweitzer on our team to continue on with some of the new 3.2 features. And Jeremy, I will go ahead and pass those presenter rights over to you.
Thank you, Todd. As Todd was just saying, my name is Jeremy Schweitzer, and I'm a client care analyst at eThink. And I've been using Moodle. I was actually just thinking about that. I've been a site administrator on Moodle for almost 11 years for a wide variety of different types of organizations. So it's been really exciting to see how Moodle has evolved over the years, and especially some of the massive changes of the last couple of years. And so what I'm actually going to be showing today is one of the new features related to user tours. So especially with the big change to how the themes look and feel, Moodle HQ developed a couple built-in user tours to kind of demonstrate kind of how to navigate the new model. And so I'm going to show kind of what that looks like. So I'm going to hit reset. Oops. Of course, I've been changing things, getting ready. So let me just refresh. And so the first time that you log into a site, you're going to be greeted by the user tour. This will happen both if you have upgraded to 3.2 from a previous version, or if you have a fresh install. And this is kind of useful because it's quite short. It shows you kind of how the functionality of the user tours can work, and also just make sure that you know where a couple of the important key features of Moodle are. So it pops up here in the middle of the page first. Click Next, and it points out that hamburger button that Todd was talking about before. And as you click around, it also shows you some aspects related to site administration. This is slightly customized. It doesn't necessarily show the same things for every role, but I'm logged in as a site admin. So we're going to go ahead and close that for now. The Moodle by default comes with just 2 built-in user tours, primarily as a way of kind of introducing people to Moodle, and just to make sure that people know that it's an available feature that they can explore. You can also create them completely from scratch. I'm going to show you kind of what that page looks like. We're not going to create one live here. We don't have that much time today. But here's what that page looks like. So you can see that we've got a couple built-in ones and a couple custom ones that we've been building and playing around with. One of the other neat things is Moodle from the beginning has kind of built in this model for sharing user tours that other people have created. So if you click this link right from within Moodle, it'll take you to a repository of all the available user tours that people have made available for free for anyone to grab and use. This is a great starting point if you want to create a custom user tour. It's much easier to tweak an existing one than build one completely from scratch. And I'll show you a little bit of how that works for a minute. But what's nice is you have a couple search capabilities and options for looking through these. You see the oldest ones are there for Moodle 3.0. User Tours was actually originally released as a plugin by a member of the Moodle community. Moodle HQ saw the huge value in it and actually merged it into core Moodle, so it's standard out of the box for everyone as of Moodle 3.2. So you see some that were created when it was still a plugin. Those are actually still fully functional and usable. The only thing that I've noticed with a couple of them is the language has maybe changed, so you might need to tweak the language, but if you're downloading these, you're probably going to customize them anyway. So to see what a custom one looks like, I've gone ahead and pre-built one. So one of the example activities that a lot of schools and various organizations use is they want some way to get feedback or do a survey of their users from within a course. And that's what the feedback tool for Moodle is for. And especially if you are new to Moodle or have teachers that are onboarding or instructors that are onboarding that don't use Moodle on a regular basis, there's plenty of documentation. You can always do training days. This is actually a great real-time training support or education support tool for your course creators. So you can customize this, and I'll show you what it kind of looks like in a course. So I go into a course, I turn editing on, And I can scroll down here to the bottom because this is where you would probably usually be asking for feedback, and click Add an Activity or Resource, find the feedback, click Add. And yep, there it goes. So the first time that you visit a feedback activity and go to add it to a course, this will pop up to kind of guide your course creator or instructor through this process. Because as you can see, these are all expandable in the background. There's a lot of content here. Sorry, I forgot. I have to hit next first. So you can see there's a lot of content, quite a bit of material. So you want to click through. You can explain what each of these fields are like. You can expand it and see what those options are. So rather than just turn your instructors loose and say, good luck, you can figure out the forms, they're not that complicated. You can actually build in some guidelines to help them understand what each of these sections are. If you have things that they should always be doing a particular way, you can provide some guidance on policies right here so you know that they've seen it at least once. So for example, if you, for whatever reason, always wanted the analysis page visible to students so they could see kind of what their peers think of a course, you could be advising them. Instead of just saying this is an option, you could add some language here that says, please always choose this option to meet with our standards. So I'll click through the rest of it because it's got quite a bit of detail here and explains some of the differences between save and return to course, save and display, and cancel, although I think cancel is relatively self-explanatory. And you can hit the end of the tour. So say that you had an instructor that was filling this out and they got down again to the availability section and they couldn't remember exactly what this meant. They always do have the option of going down to the bottom of the page and clicking the reset, which will bring them right back into this. So it's always available there for the users if they need the support and help. So I'm going to show you real briefly kind of what the editing interface looks like. We're not going to deep dive into any of it, but if you have one pre-added here, you can click into it and you will see that each of those steps is actually broken out. So this is each one of those cards is a particular section. You can rearrange them, so if you wanted them in a different order, in this case you start top to bottom and that makes the most sense. But if you're maybe going left to right, you might play around with a couple of different options before you settle on the one that makes the most sense to you, so you can easily move those around if that makes the most sense. And if you just want to edit the content, not necessarily where things appear, you can easily edit the title content right here, or quickly edit the content here just by adding something like this is the last step. Save your changes, and the next time that anyone looks at that tour, that extra line of text that I add will appear. So they're relatively easy to edit. They are a little tricky to get placed, but that's one of those things that's nice about working with a Moodle partner. We can help you with some of those details if you have questions or get stuck. I am going to turn it over now to Claire. And let her take over.
Thanks, Jeremy. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As Jeremy said, my name is Claire. I'm Claire Mesha, the Director of Support Services here at eThink. And today I've been asked to present on one of the seemingly minor, but actually really important new enhancements in Moodle 3.2, and that is a new default video player. So version 3.2 has introduced a new default video player called Video.js, which offers greater sound control over the sound, audio, and video files that your instructors and staff will be adding to your courses. So I'm going to just demonstrate today, by adding a video, some of the new options that are presented with this player. Okay, so I set up a page here and I'm going to embed a video file that I have available on this page. And notice, in 3.2, my navigation to edit this page has changed a little bit, but it's nice and easily accessible here using the gear icon. So I'm going to edit settings for this page. And then I'm going to pull this down because I have my video here on the desktop. So here I'm going to, in my Addo editor, I'm going to click on the Moodle Media icon. And this can also be used using the link icons as well. But right off the bat, using the Moodle Media button, you can see that you now have 3 different tabs for how you're inserting your media, whether it is a link to a video on YouTube or a video that you actually have to upload from your computer or an audio file. So I'm going to demonstrate using a video file today, and you can see that it is also prompting you to add an alternative source so that you can to ensure that this video or audio works on desktop and mobile devices. You also have additional display options here to customize the size of the embedded video, and you have whether you want it to be not play the audio by default when it starts off, or you want it to play automatically when they land on the page. And then the really great new addition as far as accessibility is concerned, you have the option to upload subtitles and captions, additional metadata. When it comes to subtitles, those are in the pretty standard VTT format for subtrack files, so subtitle track files. So this is really great, and you can see that 3.2 has made some really big strides to continue to make accessibility a priority. So I have an actual video file that I'm going to work with today, so I'm going to click on this Browse Repositories button here, and I'm going to browse my computer, and right here on my desktop I have an MP4 video file that I'm going to choose to upload. So I'm going to click on Open, Upload, and I tried this once before, so it's just telling me I can overwrite the name of it. And now I can just say Insert Media. So yeah, it embedded it as a pretty large size, so it's nice and easy. I just have to click on the video and select my Moodle Media icon again, and it's playing. Oh goodness. All right, so I can click on this, and now I could come in and adjust the size if I wanted to, just to make it a little bit smaller for the size of the page. And once I hit Save and Display, you can see the MP4 file embeds really nicely on this page. I'll click play now that I have it muted. And as far as administrative settings, you have a lot more options in terms of you can set a default height and width for your videos across the whole site, which I think is really nice to have a nice consistent look to all your videos, no matter where your teachers are uploading them. And you also have the options to upload a thumbnail, view of the file of the video before students click on them. So a lot of really great enhancements to ensure responsiveness and accessibility in 3.2. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Jordan DeGroot, who's going to talk about an assignment and other activity enhancements.
Thank you, Claire. Let's see.
Pass you the presenter.
All right. My name is Jordan DeGroot, and I am a client care analyst at eThink. I'm going to briefly go over some new activity features in Moodle 3.2. The first thing I'd like to look at is the assignment activity. And if you're new to Boost, you'll see that when you want to edit things, you have to click on the cog up here. Teachers can now override assignment dates for individual students or groups in Moodle, and they can do this from clicking on the group overrides and user overrides here. This was an option, or has been an option available for quizzes, but it's now available for assignments. And we would just click on Add a User Override, and then we'd be able to set up override for whatever student you want, or if you go back and switch to groups, you can switch for groups. Another additional feature for assignments is you can now, for your rubrics, you can create rubrics that have negative point values. This is just something that people have been asking for, and they've finally gone ahead and added this feature. And the last thing that I would like to show is for the choice activity. Teachers can now select, let's quick go and look at the review or the responses. Teachers can now select a choice for students when using this activity. So say if the teacher had choices set up for what day and time do you want to give your final presentation, and the students sign up for their time slot, and you have a couple students that never look on their Moodle, they never went in, they never signed up for anything, and the deadline has passed. The teacher can now come in here and select the choices for those students and assign it to them. Before, you couldn't do that. You would have to either get a hold of the student to do it, or just not look at it, or have someone come log in as the student and do it for them. And those are the three things that I wanted to show you. I'm now going to pass it off to Vanessa.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Hi, everyone. I am Vanessa Royce. I am a third client care analyst at eThink. And I'm talking about two topics today, the first of which is discussion locking. So discussion locking is just another example of how we're seeing Moodle forums continue to become more flexible and dynamic. So the default is for discussions not to lock. However, that can now be modified by the discussion locking setting, which you'll find when you're either creating a new forum or if you're editing an existing forum. So I'll show you a little bit about that now. We'll go into our edit settings option within this particular forum and scroll down. You can see the discussion locking section there. You can set the forum to automatically lock after a certain period of inactivity, which you can see from the drop-down menu here. Your options are from 1 day up to 1 year time. Locking a discussion will mean that students can no longer reply to it. So when they access that locked forum, they'll see a message that says, this discussion has been locked and you can no longer reply to it. And then there won't be the reply button available there to the student. But what's important to note is that at a glance at the forum within the course itself, the student won't be able to see whether or not that forum is locked. So something you might want to do is note in the forum's description that it's locked at that time, and that way you'll be able to avoid some confusion there. One other thing I wanted to mention is a teacher or anybody else with the capability to reply to locked discussions can unlock a discussion just by replying again to any post in the discussion. So that's what I have for you there. The second topic we're going to talk about is course end dates. So this is something that's another new feature in 3.2, and you'll specify this within the settings, within the course settings. The end date is going to be used for reporting purposes. Well, looks like my page doesn't want to cooperate. Here we go. We suggest that you use them for reporting purposes, and then the other thing I wanted to note is that setting the end date will not affect the student's access to the course. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And that is all I have. Then I will pass it over to Courtney.
Yeah, thanks so much, Vanessa. I'm Courtney Bentley. I'm an account executive here at eThink Education. Along with what Jeremy said, I think You know, we've been in Moodle for quite a while. I think that this is probably my 10th year working in Moodle in different forms and fashions. So I too am very excited about some of the changes that I get to share with you today. Let me make sure before I get started to just remind everyone that you can still add questions through the questions pane here within the GoToWebinar. So please feel free to ask those. We will get to as many of those as possible. So I'll try to do my best to watch my time so that we give ourselves ample time for those questions. I'm going to wrap up the session and talk about some of the system improvements that have been made with 3.2. The first of these I'm not actually going to demonstrate, but I did want to mention, particularly because I know we have a lot of you who are using SCORM content and LTIs and materials from different sources. And so I think it's just worth mentioning that Moodle does continue to keep in step with standards compliance. And so LTI2 support is rolled into 3.2. And so that's one of the pieces that you'll be able to see in these improvements. The next piece is actually around competency frameworks. I'm going to cheat just a little bit, and I hope you guys don't mind, but as you probably are aware, competencies and learning plans were actually introduced in 3.1. But I feel like it's kind of worth backing up just a tiny bit to give some framing and some reference so that you understand why the import and export features are really helpful in 3.2. So competencies, as you probably are already aware, you are able to go into Moodle now and create competency frameworks. So basically these can be created at the site level or the category level, and it just allows you to create a set of competencies that hang together. You can build these out with custom scales, and you can use your own terminology that matches what you use in your existing model. So it does have that flexibility. I think it's one of the interesting things that, you know, they were thinking in terms of a framework and not enforcing some predefined sort of competency structure on us. In order to create these competencies, as you can see, we've got to include a title, we've got to include any type of numbering system that we want to use, description information. It gets really tedious, especially for those of you who are working with Common Core or working with other competency frameworks already existing within your systems. And so with 3.1, they built out the capabilities to do import and export, but they were included as a plugin. And so now we'll see that with 3.2, within the site administration for competencies, you now have the options to import competency frameworks and export competency frameworks. And one of the nice pieces about the competencies as well is that they've really built out the permissions for the roles in a really granular way. So you would be able to delegate some of this work and access to be able to use these tools to different members of your organization. So with this capability, we're now able to take just a comma-separated file, a CSV. We're able to enter all of that information that might get a little tedious, but would be much easier to do in Excel. And then you're able to come right in and say, import competency framework. Upload that file, and those will get generated within the system. So really the feature is more about, the new feature is really more about making your life a little easier, but definitely, you know, trying to get people in to use the competencies and really test what's possible there. So to close that loop, for those of you who are not super familiar with competencies, learning plan templates can then be used. You can use those competencies that you just created. You can build learning plans, and then you can assign those plans to either individual users or to an entire cohort of users. That way, you're going to be able to have reviewers within the system get notifications of completed work or submissions of evidence of prior learning. And then reviewers are going to be able to see a single screen where they can review evidence, provide feedback, and apply ratings. And then likewise, as you'll see here, the learner is able to go in and take a look at how they're achieving, where their status is, what progress they're making, and what they still have to achieve. So this is a nice segue, I think, into the other piece that I want to close out our time together on, and that's the mobile app. So competencies are built right into the mobile app as well. So let me transition over here so you can see this. All right, so I hope you're able to see that well. So the Moodle mobile app is freely available. So your users will be able to go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and download the free Moodle mobile app right now. It's up to version 3.2.1, so that's actually what you're looking at now. And the sites that I'm connecting to are 3.2 sites. So it's important just to mention that as they are developing, they're adding new key features and definitely pulling out functionality that supports all of the core features of Moodle. So one of those pieces that we just talked about was competencies. So you'll notice that within that hamburger bun that Todd mentioned earlier, within that nav tray, one of those features is going to be her learning plans. So she's going to be able to take a look at her learning plans, take a look at those individual competencies, and even drill down to take a more in-depth look at ratings and information related to those competencies. Likewise, if she goes up to her courses section, you'll notice that right here on the front of the courses listing, she's able to take a look at the competencies. So if I jump into the competencies for this biology course, I can see that I have one of 3 competencies in which I've been marked competent or proficient. And it shows me right here on the face of the competency screen exactly what activities are tied down to that competency. So I'm able to quickly jump into the course right from that. So really the mobile app is creating a really nice loop for the learner to be able to have that connectivity to the expectations that you've laid out either at the institution level, at the course level, but really kind of closing that loop for them. Let me back up. I've jumped into the course, and I want to back up just so that you can take a look at this. So I am within my biology course, and so as you can see, some of those key features that have been here for at least a couple versions, giving me the ability to download content for offline viewing, being able to see my completion tracking as you see here for exam study guide. But a couple of the newer features are really supporting more of that social learning. So I don't know how many of you use Glossary. If there's anyone on the line today that knows me and has worked with me, Glossary I always feel like is one of the most underutilized activities for getting students really engaged with the material. But as you'll see here, John Keating, my instructor, has added a single glossary element here. But part of the directions for my course are to add my own, and so within the Moodle mobile app, I'm able to come in and add new entries. Right from within the interface. And of course, one of the coolest things that those of you who have been watching the Moodle mobile app development over the years, like I have, are probably most excited about is this integration with the actual device. So being able to select files right off of my device, incorporate those into course content. This is also true for assignment submissions as well. If I back up and head down into one of the assignments, and so also I'll just mention, I won't go there, but you'll see this Google slide as a template is actually a link to a Google slide, and so if I click on that, it actually launches that app on my device. So really building in that true integration with the device that I think everyone's been looking for a while. So really exciting here in terms of what we can do And just to kind of close that loop here, being able to upload files from directly within the device. A couple of other things that I just want to hit on. I know we're coming up on time, so I hope this is exciting to you as it is to me. But let me back up here. I mentioned social learning, so obviously, being able to have students engaging in the material right from within the device. A couple of the other things, as you saw earlier, pulling forward the notifications and the messaging components is really important here. And so the notifications actually are for local notifications and push notifications from within the app. Those will all show up to the user in their app. And they can customize their settings as well for how they receive certain notifications. The messaging, as I mentioned just a second ago, has also been pulled to the forefront. Gives you a really nice, clean interface for using that messaging that's been available within Moodle for a while, but really making the user interface something really, really nice to use. Feels very Facebook-esque for those of you who use Facebook Messenger and other applications similar to that. We can also, if I go back to courses, one of the other ways that it's supporting social learning is by revealing information about other participants. Obviously, it has to do with the way your site's set up and limitations of that. But let me jump over and just show you the ability to quickly communicate with other members of my course. Shows me right here their role. If I click email, it's going to launch my email right on my device. And if I click through to messaging, it's going to prompt me to go ahead and start communicating with her immediately. So some really nice features to support that social learning. I've already mentioned assignments, grades, and grading. I showed you briefly how she can get in and submit her assignment and take a look at her grade. But I definitely think it's worth jumping back to an instructor role just so that you can see that capability. And then I promise I'll be quiet and we can take questions. So if I go into the course, I'm in right now as the instructor, and I'm going to jump down here. For those of you who are quickly following along as I was demonstrating, you saw that when I was logged in as the student, there was only one lab exercise. That's because this course is using groups. So you see as the instructor, I have access to all 3 of those lab assignments and can jump in to take a look at them. So here I can take a look at my list of participants. Within that assignment, I can see who's submitted, who has not. And I'm able to come directly in to grade them. So I would be able to come in and give a grade and also provide feedback. So some really nice functionality that they have begun to really develop and incorporate within the Moodle mobile app. So with that, I will be quiet as promised. Please, if you have other questions for me or for others on the other topics, we're happy to answer those. But I'll turn it back to Josh at this point and see what questions we have.
All right, thank you, Courtney. So, yeah, I hope everyone got a feel for why we are so excited about 3.2, some of the great changes that that have come along and that we're looking forward to having our clients take advantage of. We have a ton of questions that have come in here, so we are going to try to move through as many of those as we can. I do just want to say a couple of things before we start with the first of the questions. One is that, for many of our current clients that are here, they know that we do professional development support, we do training support for many of our clients. For those who are prospective clients, that is something to emphasize that we do for many folks. So this is one such topic that if you're considering some professional development and you're going to move to 3.2 this summer, maybe something to think about is, do we want some training support to help take advantage of these things? So by all means, feel free to follow up with me or with, if you're a client, with our services folks on that topic. Also on the screen here, you see I have my contact information. If you have questions, you can reach out to me after this. You will get a copy of this recording, but any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me, And I also want to encourage folks to take a look at a webinar we have a week from today, actually at the exact same time. We do, every month or so, we do a webinar to highlight some of the partners that we have here at eThink. And I think the one coming up in a week is one of the most exciting ones we've had. Some really good topics here, some really great speakers. You see it's basically on incorporating XAPI into Moodle and making Moodle more accessible. So you can see we've created sort of a convenient bit.ly there for you. You can easily type that in, get more information on the speakers themselves and register. So I encourage you to do that. We'll leave that up here as we do some Q&A. But I do want to now get into some of these questions. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, so rest assured that we will follow up afterward if we don't get to yours. But why don't we start, Courtney, why don't we keep it with you here to begin. There was a question on the topic of reporting, and I'm not sure this is really specific to version 3.2, but the person asking had said they're on a 2.8.x version, have a lot of problems with reports. So Courtney does a lot of our report work for us. So do you want to maybe just comment, Courtney, on reporting generally, if there is anything new in 3.2, but perhaps more generally how we handle reporting?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to. So as Josh mentioned, and as was mentioned earlier, we do custom reporting, so that's always an option available to our clients. One of the things that has improved in the reporting is any of the places where there are graphs. One of the things that we didn't mention with 3.2 is the incorporation of a new graphing engine. So that is going to look a lot nicer and cleaner to you and give you a little more capability for downloading tables and things like that for some of the existing reports. They've also built out some reports, because I know you're in a previous version. You'll see that there are some new reporting capabilities that have been added over the last couple of versions, things like course completion, activity tracking completion, and things like that.
Great, yeah, that was great, Courtney. Thank you for commenting on that one. I think the next one that we'll go to here is a question on SharePoint and Office 365, wanting to know if we can connect with those. So Jeremy, can you take that one?
Sure. We have a couple of clients that have integrated with either SharePoint or Office 365 in different ways. The Microsoft releases a version of an integration. The one downside that we've run into recently is the most recent supported versions require you to use Azure. If you're already using Azure, it's not a big deal. It's usually relatively easily for the clients to figure out the permissions on their side. If you haven't been using Azure, there's a learning curve, and unfortunately, since that's inside of your systems, we can help, but it would be up to a client to do kind of that piece of it. So it is totally possible. There's a couple of different ways that you can integrate that. It's definitely something that isn't instant, but is completely doable.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. So as Claire was presenting some of the new video features, there was a flurry of questions on that topic, so I think we'll go there next. Claire, I won't read any of them specifically, but if you want to kind of paraphrase some of them and respond as you go, we'll turn to you.
Sure. Yeah, so yes, we did get, that is a good word, a flurry of questions about the new video player. So it is, it is certainly possible to download the videos that you're embedding within your courses. I'm not certain that you can prevent them from being downloaded. That would be something we'll need to explore a little bit further. There are also a few questions about the new video player and TinyMCE. So TinyMCE was phased out as the default text editor in Moodle several versions ago now. So I don't believe that it will work, the new Video.js player will work in TinyMCE. And because Addo is so, closely integrated with the accessibility features that I believe this new video tool offers, media tool. So, and then otherwise, I think, and And as far as closed captioning goes, it doesn't, create the captions for you, but if you have a closed caption, a VTT closed caption or transcript file, you can upload that with your video, and it will display the captions alongside it, similar to the way you see in other systems. And I think that covers, the bulk of questions about videos.
And certainly, if we missed anything, yeah, we can always follow up afterward.
There's a few about, videos that exist in the site already. I believe those should, transition pretty smoothly. So yeah, I think I, touched on, most of the common themes there with the video questions. And, we'll be sure to follow up on those that we weren't able to drill down on. So I don't want to take any more time to, go ahead.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, we're trying to go rapid fire here, so we apologize if we missed some questions, but as I said, we will follow up. So why don't we go on the next one here? We'll give this one to Jeremy. Jeremy, there's a question that says, will all themes in 3.2 have automatic user tours?
And the answer to whether they'll have automatic ones is no. Boost is the only one that has them by default pre-built, but you can easily add them to any theme, and you can also make them theme specific. So especially if you are already on a version that supports the plugin version, you could start building out one before an upgrade, because if part of making a move to the new version, you're switching themes. And make sure that you have preloaded the ones for whichever theme you've wanted. So they don't come out of the box for anything besides Boost, but I believe all themes that actually support 3.2 can have user tours applied to them.
Okay. Excellent, thank you, Jeremy. And I think the next question will bring Jordan back in here. So Jordan, there was a question that says, can certain options be set as unchangeable defaults?
The answer to that would be yes and no, depending on what you want to achieve. Default settings can be determined at the admin level for activities and resources, and certain settings can be hidden as advanced features or locked to prevent teachers from changing them altogether. If there are no options for that, there's always, you can create custom roles, and from that you can assign people any type of role with any type of restriction that achieves what you're trying to accomplish.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jordan. And we are almost at the top of our hour here, so I've got one more question that we'll ask, and then I think we'll wrap from there. There is a question about grading assignments in 3.2. Claire, is that one again that we want to throw back to you?
Sure, yeah, I can touch on that really briefly. So the assignment grading interface got its big makeover in the previous version, 3.1. So it's not necessarily a new feature in 3.2, but it has had improvements along the way in between those versions. It is integrated now so that instructors can mark up, add comments, highlight, draw on the student submissions right within the Moodle browser, and no longer have to download, comment on, and re-upload files. So it is very similar to other assignment grading things, such as Turnitin was mentioned, and is definitely one of the great advantages that has come out of the last couple versions.
All right. Excellent. And I see, I was just scrolling through the questions again. There's a bunch of new ones that have come in that we're not going to be able to get to. But if you are an Ethan client currently, we're going to kind of parse these out, make sure that the folks that you've gotten to hear from here today on our services team, who I hope you see now what I stated at the beginning, that these are we have a terrific team of people here, the best experts in this industry. That's why we have been as successful as we've been. You will hear from our team if you are one of our clients to answer any questions that are left over. If you are a prospective client, somebody that's either using Moodle with someone else or self-hosting, or using another LMS, you'll hear from myself or a member of our sales team here, and we'll answer your questions and perhaps engage further about Moodle from there and about what we do here at eThink. I think this has been a terrific session. Again, we are very excited about the changes coming in 3.2 and moving many of our clients up to 3.2 this summer. We hope you all have enjoyed this and have learned something here. You will receive a copy of the recording, so if you came in late or had to leave early, obviously you're not hearing me if you had to leave early, but you'll be able to catch up on this, share it with your colleagues. And if you have any questions, again, my email address is here on the screen. Feel free to reach out. And we hope you might join us on our webinar a week from today, where we'll talk about XAPI, or I should say our partners will talk about XAPI and accessible design in Moodle. So thank you again for joining us today. Everybody have a great rest of your day and a good week, and we will look forward to talking with all of you soon.